Gates at the Tulsa Zoo swung open 90 years ago. The zoo is celebrating that milestone this year. And here's a look back on how the zoo developed and how it's always been supported by our community. It started in the 1920s as Mohawk Park, which was meant to be a reservoir. The first animals were birds and reptiles. The mammals came later. The superintendent of Tulsa Parks wanted a nature park for animals like bison and elk deer, which were almost extinct then.
In 1926, when Tulsa had a lot of money, they brought in a park superintendent named Will Ojibwa Doolittle, and in 1927 he was authorized to bring in the park's first animals.
The peccary was one of the first. It looks something like a razorback or wild hog.
Did you notice how they're rubbing on each other? They have a scent gland up above their tail on their back.
Monkey Island was built under Roosevelt's New Deal, built with shovels and wheelbarrows.
A rather innovative thing to keep monkeys out on a big island instead of in cages, and that is currently our chimpanzee islands.
In the 1950s and 60s, the Tulsa Zoo director, Hugh Davis, got voters involved in helping pay for their zoo. Bonds were approved, which allowed the zoo to build its first permanent facility and transition away from iron bars to moats that separated visitors from animals, and the zoo's master plan was developed. The plan brought living museums featuring animal habitats, elephants, and a rainforest and penguins in the early 2000s. Decorated by local artists, you'd see huge penguins all around town, sold to local companies and families to help pay for the new exhibit. That master plan is still on track at the Tulsa Zoo. There's a commitment to education with the help of private partners in our community. They've always been there to make sure visitors and especially children experience wildlife for themselves.
Say peccary?
Peccary.
I feel like almost every other time that we come, there's some little new exhibit or some little new feature.
And that's the idea, to always keep the Tulsa Zoo new and interesting. A couple of facts about the zoo: it's open 363 days a year. It's home to about 400 species and more than 3,000 animals. Last year, the zoo had more than 700,000 visitors for the first time in its 90-year history. Lisa Jones, 2 Works for You.